Good morning. Today I want to share Jeremiah 17, verse 7, which says, "Blessed is the man who trusts in the Lord and whose trust is in the Lord." The first verse I read this morning was about receiving the kingdom of heaven like a child. And it made me think of how children trust their parents. They obey them, they do what they're said, usually without questioning it. Now I know that there are some kids who will throw a temper tantrum because they don't want to do what their parents said. But that doesn't solve anything. And there's also some children who will choose to disobey, ignore what their parents says, do it anyway, and they wind up getting hurt or burnt. Like, don't touch that, it's hot, and the child will do it anyway. Now, hopefully they learn their lesson very quickly that my parent has my best interest at heart. And so they choose to obey the next time. And I thought about something that happened yesterday where I finally went to see the doctor about my hip. It had been hurting for a few weeks, and I opted to go the route of let's take some medication for it first, instead of going to spend the money on a specialist or getting x-rays, because I had found that, sleeping with a pillow under my hip allowed me to wake up with less pain most of the time. So I figured, okay, we'll see what the meds do to try to reduce the inflammation and the pain. But what I was not expecting her to say was I could not run for the next 10 days, and I may need to start thinking about not running because running is hard on the body. She said walking's fine, but maybe I shouldn't be running anymore. And because I love to run, that was hard to hear. And then it started getting me to think again about the child, and I'm like, well, I could throw a temper tantrum, but that's not going to solve the problem. Or I could ignore the doctor's advice and go ahead and keep running, but I may have to suffer the consequences of being in pain, not, having the meds work because I ignored. And so I realized it was just me needing to trust the process, accept what the doctor said, and I thought about God, and I said, okay, God, I would rather fully trust you and obey what you're telling me to do, even when I don't understand, even when it's difficult and I don't want to hear it. And then I read this verse about being blessed when you have your trust in the Lord, and how the following verses talk about being like a tree planted by the waters, and your roots go down deep, and you're not worried about anything. The drought happens or winds come, you're firmly planted. You have that source of life in the water if you're a tree. But for us, if we are fully rooted in God, He is our source of life, and we don't need to worry when things happen because He is always with us and He is our source. And so trust Him. That's what I'm encouraging you today. Put your trust in Him. And even when you don't understand, know that He has your best interest at heart. He knows His plan, and He knows what He wants you to learn through things. So just trust Him and don't allow fear or anything else to cause you to disobey and suffer consequences for not trusting and obeying Him. God bless and have a great day.